Hey guys, it's Van Diaz, back on Cardfight Vanguard deck profile, so hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, subscribe, and subscribe. This time we're covering DZ Set 5 for the deck I think we were all waiting for the longest, at least since D Set 9, I think that's when Hexa or Bakura Marine came out, and that is Dragon Empire Eugene. Yes, Eugene has finally gotten a new form, and we are all super excited for it. Some say it's underwhelming, some say it's fine considering it's a Eugene upgrade, but let's go into the start shot and see what we got, because honestly, Eugene himself is pretty cool. It's just that his support cards were kind of naff going into the set, but we'll see what I mean by that in a second. Let's go into the start shot and we've got. First update, we have Rain Generator. It's a ride deck crest. You may own ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck. When you ride, put a card to your crest limit with 2nd energy charge 3. Continues to may have to 10 energies and on begin your ride phase energy charge 3. Then act once per turn energy plus 7 draw a card. All around pretty solid. You get a free 3 energy every turn. If you win second, you get an extra 3 on top of that. And not a lot of the deck uses energy, but if you end up having the cards that do use energy, you can just energy blast out 7 to draw if you don't have them. If you do have them, we'll just save the energy for that. But anyway, it's a nice red deck crest to have as a red deck crest. And I said the same thing twice. Moving on to our starter, we have Double Gun of Duststorm Bart, grade 0 boost, 5k show, 6k base, auto run, pump for second draw card, standard starter, nothing splash to free draw if he goes second. You can really make this any card you want. None of the ride line really requires Bart, but come on. Bart has been there since the beginning, quite literally. He's been here since set 1. He has seen Eugene have bad support, good support, be iffy, and slowly grow over time, and eventually become the new Eugene he is here today. Obviously, Bart's here as the one of in the ride deck. He has to be. He saw everything. Next up, we have Overtrigger and Dragon Deity King of Resurgence, Drag Veda. Grade 0 boost 50k shield, 5k power. Overtrigger, you have Overtrigger in your deck. When you vote it as a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one of these, it gets plus mana for the turn. If you vote it during a draft check, activate its adjust effect, which until you choose one of your vanguards to stand it. All pretty solid. You know, when you draft check this or damage check, you get a free million in a draw. So either someone's not getting hit that turn, someone is getting hit that turn unless your opponent has a way of interfering with that. But on top of that, if you did draft check it, you get to stand your vanguard. Now, unfortunately, Bushy decided one of the very few, you know, on attacking grade 3s and D that for Dragon Empire that would get a once per turn effect had to of course be Eugene, but you know, hindsight's 2020. Either way, Drag Veda being able to stand a Vanguard who could already get possible multi-attack is great, so I like Drag Veda in this deck. You could run Vulner for more consistent multi-attacking, or Spoiler for recycling, or the Dark Overtrigger for healing and calling. I choose to make Drag Veda the Overtrigger because I like running the Nation Overtriggers, and I just like running Drag Veda. I really wish they made a version of Drag Veda that was just Eugene, because I feel like it would be very appropriate considering what everyone thought Eugene was. You know, Eugene best deck. Moving on to our normal triggers, we have two copies of Flairville Dragon, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k power, draw triggers, guard circle, opponent's vanguards are grade 3 or greater, you know, gets 5,000 shield. So 10k shield, it's a draw trigger, helps increase the hand. The deck thankfully does not deck itself out as fast as it does with OG Eugene, so being able to actually affordably run draw triggers is great. And also in the sense of, you know, it has a 10k shield, so it's a nice little defensive card as well, and it helps draw for your more important pieces, of which one of them is a lot more important than I thought it was, because originally I thought it was an on-place, and apparently it's not. Then we have two copies of Blaze Maiden Parama, grade 0 boost, 10k shield, 4k power, contains guard circle, opponent's vanguards are grade 3, grade plus 5,000 shield. It's 20k shield, you know, I like Parama. I haven't ran her in a lot of my decks apparently because I just got used to running 3 draw triggers, and I never touched Parama after that day, and honestly, Parama is a really good front trigger. You know, she has 10k to the front row, and in a deck that multi-attacks, you want to be able to get numbers to the front row a lot easier, especially if you're just going to murder the opponent's rear guards in the process. But I like having the draw trigger for increasing the hand, so I like to run them both at 2 each. You know, Parama's a 20k shield, worst case scenario, so there's that as well. Then we have 7 crits, 3 copies of Conduct Spark Dragon, grade 0 boost 15k shield, 5k power. You make this any crit you want, but it's the same case with Bart. This crit has been here since the beginning. It was released in set 1. It has seen Eugene through bad and worse. Obviously, I gotta put Conduct Spark here. Then we have 4 copies of our Burning Flow Dragon, grade 0 boost 15k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, add them out this unit boost to shove to soul, choose me because 2k for the turn. Okay, I'll run pretty solid. Goes to soul, gets someone 2k. This deck can run into a soul problem if you let it, so Burning Flail being here, I would say, isn't necessarily a necessity, but is definitely a good idea just in case you do let it become a soul problem. So 7 crit for the pressure, you know, especially because the Vanguard does actually have an inherent restanding built into this deck, ahem, Oswald. So 7 crits for the pressure, like I just said. And then we have White Light Dragon, Parasol Last. Grade 0 boost, 50k show, 5 power. This is the last time I'm going to say it. This heal could be whatever you want it to be, but like the other cards I've mentioned, it has been here since the beginning. It has seen Eugene grow, yada, yada, yada. You get the point. Parasol is the heal trigger here. You can even make it the kind of heals if you want. I choose to make a Parasol speak. Well, I choose to make a vanilla heal in general because I like the consistent 15k shield of vanilla heals rather than the fluctuating 10, 25k shields, but you do you. But yeah, Parasol Last. Seeing Eugene grow, gonna stay with him till the end of days. Moving on to our grade 1s. First one, 2 copies of Wild Bullet of Duststorm Clifton. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard when this unit boost or attacks. If I like how I set that in the complete opposite order. If your opponent's rear guard was murdered this turn by the ability of your vanguard, this unit gets plus 2k for until in a battle feature your opponent's open rear guard circles. With Eugene's ability over here, being able to murder a column, that's at least plus 4k to himself, which is pretty solid. And then auto rear guard at the end about this unit boosted. If you have a vanguard with Eugene in the card name, retire this unit to choose 3 cards from your soul. If you chose one or more cards, return them to the deck. If you did not countercharge this turn, countercharge 1. All around, pretty solid. Retires himself, shuffles back cards from your souls that can be triggers if you did end up soul charging triggers. All around, very nice ability to have. Now, I'm pretty sure you have to send at least one card back to get the counter charge. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it's nice the fact that he can counter charge because this deck can run into a CB problem when you're trying to use Oswald for restanding, or Eugene's on attack ability, or this thing's ability to search a really broken order. So all around, not Oswald, Clifton is a nice card to have in this deck, but because it does require the soul, and again, this could be a possible soul heavy deck, you want to run Clifton as a 2-up. But again, it's a very good booster on an attacker because at worst case scenario, he's going to be at least a 12k, and more likely than not, he's going to be somewhere between a 16 and 18. So 2 of Clifton. Moving on to 3 copies of Assault Bullet of Duststorm Oswald. Great on boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard. I think about this unit boosted a vanguard with Eugene in the card name. If your opponent's vanguard's a grade 3 or greater and they have no rear guards, CB1 and ditch 1, choose one of your vanguards, stand it, and increase or decrease its critical and drive to 1 for the turn. So, goods and bads about this. It does require the opponent to be a grade 3, unfortunately, but all they have to have, it has no rear guards, and I mean, we have enough rear guard kills in the deck where we don't have to worry about that. The main issue is the fact that when the Vanguard stands, he loses crits and drives. This is the only card in the game that when a unit stands makes it lose crits. Because apparently allowing Eugene to keep crits is broken. I know why it's like that. It's because of the tri-bash BS that Eugene would do. If you haven't played against Eugene back in like set 1 to set 3, essentially what Eugene's main kill combo was called double tri-bash, swing with Eugene. This was before Oswald got printed, by the way. Shove 2 tri-bashers into soul, make the Vanguard triple crit. Your opponent takes it when they're at 1 damage or 2 damage, and then you drive check double crit. If you're wondering how inconsistent that was, it wasn't. You want to know how I know? Because I did that exact same thing from set 1 to 3, and I killed my friend so many times doing it. So yeah, Oswald's here like that for a reason. But being able to at least restand the Vanguard is nice, even if it is going to lose some drive and some crit pressure out of it. But again, because of that, and because you are actively losing a hand card and CB out of this, and it does require the opponent to have 0 rear guards, you only really use Oswald if you're going for the kill turn, or if you're trying to like get consistency. Like if your hand sucks and you see a bunch of grade 3s, okay, then you use Oswald, but otherwise you don't really want to use him too much. So 3 of, he is a nice support card to have in the deck for that multi-attack, and worst case scenario, you call him to front rows and AK vanilla, so there's that too. Then we have 4 copies of Springing Bullet of Duststorm Glynis. Great on boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rearguard once per turn when your opponent's rearguard is retired during your main phase. If you have a grade 3 rearguard Vanguard with Eugene in the card name, stand this unit and she gets 5,000 power for the turn. So 13k when you murder a rearguard. Oh, if only there was a reason that she would have that stand wording. Totally not random at all, but either way though, being able to basically be a target for Eugene is great, and still basically be able to attack / boost and be a 13k on top of that, all from just one rearguard dying is great, and then continuous guard circle if your Vanguard is a grade 3 rearguard Eugene, she gets 5,000 shield. All around, it's pretty solid. She's a 10k shield. That's all we need to it. Now, the reason why people don't like Eugene is because, or new Eugene, is not because they don't like new Eugene. They don't like the 2 support cards he got to go along with him, because the 2 support cards were literal duplicates of cards that already existed, one of which didn't have a Duststorm name, so that one makes sense that they slapped the Duststorm name onto, and then the other one is a carbon copy of this. Now, if you're wondering what I mean by that is, go ahead and take a look at Bullet Finale of Duststorm Hellenus. Grade 1, boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Okay, I love the moon in the background. That's not why she's here, but I do want to appreciate the moon. Auto rear guard, at being out of your battle phase, if your opponent has one of those rear guards, stand it. And then continues guard circle if you have a Vanguard Duststorm in the card name. Okay, not specifically Eugene, but Duststorm. So your entire deck at this point get 5,000 shield. Yeah, so you kind of see the carbon copy thing. It's meant to be the rest target, and it's also meant to be an extra guard power. But it's not bad. It gives Eugene a little bit more defensive power, and it allows you to board rush a little bit more and rest her to kill rear guards. I wish Hellenus stood the unit in front of her, considering the card that was released along with her that was the better, which to be fair did have a reason to be printed, because the original card that it was based off of wasn't a Duststorm unit, but at the same time, it's 50-50. Either way, though, Hellenus is not bad. She's a standard. She, at least worst case scenario, is a target for Eugene, and she's an extra 5k shield, which you honestly could make the difference in guarding, especially in the early game where she's always a 10k shield if you're running the actual one of 2 Eugene ride lines, because she will always be 10k shield. Yeah, important thing to note real quickly as I go over this. This skill isn't necessary, kind of, because a lot of the support that Eugene has now gotten, I think like set 6, since Bushy stopped doing it, is they stopped making a lot of things specific name restrictions. They just started making, if you have the grade 3's name, you're good to go. And not a lot of Eugene support specifies this. There is a card in here that does requires OG Eugene, so this ability is useful, but is not required. So you could, with the old ride line of Eugene, run the old ride line because it still would proc off Randor's skill, and Randor would proc off Nigel's skill. We'll get over to the ride line in a minute, but 4 of Hellenus, it's a very solid, it's an okay grade 1. It could be better, it could definitely be worse though. Then we have our PG and Guardian Monk of Raging Flames Monju. Graded 1 boost, 0 shows, K base, contains Sentinel, to 4 Sentinels in the deck, on split guard circle. Choose one mutes that cannot be hit in the battle if your hand's 2 more cards in. 2 cards from your hand started PG, nothing too special about it. Basically, that means if this only more card in your hand that can place on guard circle, you don't have to discard, which is great, because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game. Okay, be a little bit smart about how you place your rear guards, but otherwise go ham with whatever the hell you see here. And then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you, PG. This deck does honestly have a really good amount of defensive power, and that is something I do appreciate with the addition of Hellenus, that we have like 2 different cards that have 10k base shield plus the triggers, and then of course we have our PG, so we do have a good amount of defensive power going into it, so unless we just get hit by really aggressive decks, ahem, Varga, double Vanguard restand, ahem, Roshkat, ahem. Either way though, being able to block any attack without having to discard a card if needed is great, so I like having Manju in the deck at 4 copies. You can run Twin Buckler Dragon, I feel like someone's going to call it in the comments, but Twin Buckler was there since the start. Yeah, you can run Twin Buckler if you want, just to make it Manju, because I was like, I'm not going to say it 4 times in a row for deck profile. That's literally the reason why Manju's here, is because I just didn't want to say it 4 times. Then we have our last grade 1 in the deck. One of the red deck, none of the main deck of, oh my god, I love this thing's art so much. Colored Strike of Duststorm Colorless. I swear, if this was not a Eugene deck profile, this would be the focus of the thumbnail. You know what, in hindsight, I can just crop it out and make it the vast majority of the thumbnail anyways. Auto and wrote upon by Roaring Bullet of Duststorm Ronade. Look at the top 5, choose the 1 Duststorm from one of them, reveal, put your hand, shuffle your deck. And that is why you want Duststorm cards, and why the one card I was talking about earlier that just pretty much got a name change is very important, because now it is searchable. And it's a good skill, you know, just a top 5 search after discarding for ride deck just to get another Duststorm to your hand. It could fetch out your Persona Ride. It literally fetches out everything in your deck that isn't a trigger or the PG, and they eventually make a Duststorm PG. There you go. So all around, it's not a bad grade 1. You could run the Nigel and Randor ride line. The reason why I don't is because I'd rather have, well, A, I'd rather show off the new cards, but B, I would rather have the consistency of the new cards rather than have Randor and Nigel, who is just a soul charge, draw, and then put a card to soul. But hey, you know, it's not bad. You could do either or, but again, I like this one more. So one of in the ride deck of Carlos. Also, Carlos' art is just amazing. Look at him. He's using dual pistols. First of all, I'm biased towards dual pistols. He got like that kind of white, dusty hair. He's got the cool outfit. Oh my god, I love this card so much. Let me move on to our grade 2s. 4 copies of literally the only card in the deck that makes Eugene's skill to change his name matter. Howitzer of Duststorm Dustin. Grade 2 and step 5 because shield 10k base. Auto and place on rearguard circle. If your Vanguard's heavy artillery of Duststorm Eugene, send a hand card to soul, draw a card, choose an opponent's grade 2 or grade rearguard, bop it. Okay, so kill an opponent's rearguard, get a hand card, and get a soul card. Okay, not bad. And then auto rearguard. Once you attacks on anything, soul boss 1, this unit gets 2000 power, return the battle free to your opponent's open rearguard circles. Okay, does eat into the soul a little bit, and as you'll see, we kind of do have a few soul eaters, but being able to be a 20k, possibly 30k swing of Persona Ride is great. And again, he does nuke a rear guard just by simply drawing a card and sending a hand card to soul, or sending a hand card to soul, and then you also get to draw a card to replace that card. So all around, Dustin is not a bad grade 2 at all. I wish we had a little bit better Duststorms to rely on, just so that, you know, they're searchable via Carlos over here, but A is what it is. So 4 of Dustin, he's a good grade 2 to have. For the record, I'm not running Digram. The reason why I'm not running Digram is because I never could use Digram properly. I'm not even going to try to use it properly now. So 4 of Dustin, we're going to move on. Then we have 4 copies of the thing that I don't know how people feel about this. They either hate it or they like it. You see, people just hate Hellenus because Hellenus is just basically a worse version of Gilness. But this is, for those who don't know, set 2, the first set Eugene was actually good in, because I think that's when Eugene got really good cards, and then set 3 made it even better. Then after that was kind of iffy from here and there. But there was a card called Strong Something Fortress Dragon Brachio. Essentially, what this card does, except this is an auto, and that's pretty much it. And now that it's been made into a Duststorm, some people might find it lazy, but at the same time, it's searchable via Carlos, so there's that. Either way, Brilliant Bullet of Duststorm Ragnit. Grade 2 and it's at 5k shield, 10k base. I will actually, wait, no, the ability was also an act. Never mind. So yeah, this was literally a direct copy and paste. Active rear guard. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or grade 2 Eugene, Soul Boss 1, rest this unit, choose an opponent's rear guard and murder it. I originally thought that was an auto because when it was sent to Discord, it was an auto, so I misplayed completely in the debut game with this, but that's not my fault. Either way though, being able to rest herself and kill an opponent's rear guard is great. It's only a simple Soul Blast for it, so it does help clear up the opponent's board a little bit easier, especially because, again, Eugene kills a column, Dustin kills a front row unit, and then Ragnit kills another know, all you need to do is kill one more, and automatically Oswald's online. Though, to be fair, Oswald's the only thing in this deck that requires the opponent to have no rear guards. Really, your opponent just has to have less than 3, and, well, the Eugene killing 2, and then these 2 killing 1 more isn't really that hard. And then auto rear guard at the beginning of the battle phase. If your opponent has one of those rear guards, stand this, you get 5,000 power. Again, verbatim, the exact same skill Brachio had, but being a 15k isn't bad, 25k with Persona Rides, and again, just simple soul boss 1 rest her to kill an opponent's rear guard isn't bad either. I wish they were more unique with her skill. I wish Bushy would give Eugene more support cards, but you know what? They didn't mess up Flamges this set. They didn't mess up Granzel. I feel like, and they did give us an Evolved Eugene, we can let the ball roll on this one. We'll let it go, but next time we're watching them. Next time we're watching them, but for Ragna, we'll let this one slide. She's still a good grade 2, though, for being a Duststorm. Then we have one ride deck copy of Roaring Bullet of Duststorm Renade, grade 2 SF5 Kishio, 10k base, auto and Rotopon by grade 3 card with Eugene the card name, Energy Blast 3, draw 2 cards, choose a card from your hand, shuffle to soul. Okay, almost the exact same benefit of Randor actually. Randor drew you a card and put a card from drop zone to soul. This one draws you 2 cards, but you have to put a hand card to soul, so you essentially gain the same amount of hand cards, except the difference is you're filtering out 1 extra card, which could make the difference between winning and losing, which is all around pretty solid. And then auto Vanguard or Rear Guard, when this attacks, if your opponent has 2 or less rear guards, he gets 5,000 power for the battle. It's very similar skill to Randor as well, where Vandor was an on-attack Vanguard or Rear Guard. CB1 if your opponent had 2 or less rear guards, so gave 5k and soul charge 1. So, doesn't cost a CB, but doesn't get you a soul, but hey, all around not bad. Still has that Vanguard skill. Basically, it keeps Randor intact, and he has a little minigun in his hand as well, so I really do like that a lot. All around, very solid grade 2. It uses up the 3 energy you get for the turn on a free 2 draw, so if anything, it's like a faster energy generator, which all around makes it pretty solid, so I do like having him in the ride deck. And again, you could run the old Eugene line because they would still proc thanks to the skill of Eugene, but I'd rather have the new Eugene line instead. A, to show them off, but B, I do actually like them more. And as for grade 2s, if you want to run I forgot what it's called. I think it came out in set 9 where it can't be hit by a unit in the same column as, and then every time a unit in the same column as it dies, give it in the Vanguard 5,000 power. You could run that as well for power over Ragnet. I just choose not to because Ragnet does help me kill rear guards, and I do want to pull off Oswald every now and again. Moving on to our grade 3s, run 3 copies of Best Harvest. I still don't like this order, but I understand why it's good. Grade 3, normal order, choose one of your Vanguards. Until the end of the turn, it gets out of Vanguard. When your opponent's rear guard's murdered during your main phase, draw a card. Okay, so downsides to this. If you keep murdering rear guards, you're going to be forced to keep drawing, which could eventually deck you out. On the upsides to this card, you get so many cards if you board nuke your opponent. Again, if you use Eugene's skill with this to kill a column, you draw 2 cards, 1 for each. So being able to continuously just draw cards, like Eugene himself gets you 2 cards, instead you're resting 2 rear guards, probably one of the two of the 3 cards that could restand automatically anyways, and then Dustin maybe gets you 1, and then Ragnar gets you another. Like, point is, you will be drawing cards off this constantly, and you could run 4 copies. If you have my luck, you probably should run 4 copies, because like typically 2 hit the damage zone and then 1 hits the hand, or like every other game, 2 of them will hit the hand and then 1 of them will hit the damage zone. But point is, if you want the extra copy so you could use Best Harvest again and again and again, I was just running 4, but I like having it at a 3 of because I only really need to use it twice a game at most, so 3 of Best Harvest for the draw power. And then we have 3 copies of Hunting Artillery of Duststorm Virus. Grade 3, Tundra, Persona Rider, 13k base. Hit him with a bazooka minigun over here. Auto when placed on rearguard circle. If you have a Vanguard with Eugene in the card name, CB1, ditch 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 normal order without Regalia's piece. Reveal it, put it to hand, and shuffle your deck. Okay. Yeah, obviously it's meant to search Best Harvest and nothing else for the free draw power, and that's pretty much as much we're going to get out of that. And then auto rearguard once per turn. When your opponent's rearguard is retired by the card's ability during your main phase, Soul Boss won't stand this unit, and this unit gets boost for the turn. Okay. Ups to this, it can stand itself, and it gets a boost. So if you just happen to get most of your grade 2s this game for some reason, and you don't see any of your grade 1s, or the only grade 1s you get are Gilness and Hellenus, and you feel like you're going to need that guard power, he can have boost, and you can still have an aggressive board. Downsides to this, he eats soul. Why do I keep bringing this up? Well, with old Eugene, that wouldn't really matter, since, you know, old Eugene, A, had a consistent way of soul charging, and B, didn't really use his soul blast skill often. You'd only use it if you were losing. This one actually needs to use its soul blast skill to stay aggressive, so yeah, just be careful with your soul here. That's all I'm going to say. You know, honestly, on further hindsight, as I'm looking through this deck, you could just run Stealth Jack and Tochigare. When it's discarded, it goes to soul. There are a lot of discards effects in here. If you have the space for it, I was just finding a way to shove it in there, just because it does actually work. And this deck typically is like 1 soul off from always being able to do consistent. So honestly, yeah, screw it. If you're not going to run Clifton or Oswald, run Tochigare over them. It would actually work. Yeah, with the 3 of a fire is very solid, grade 3 to have. You know, he could be a booster. He does get a back or restand, and not to mention the fact that he also gets to search your deck for Regalius, or not Regalius piece, for Best Harvest, which could then therefore start the draw BS spam that you want to do. So 3 of Fire is good for supporting. And then we have our last card in the deck, 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck of the grade 3 that we have been waiting so long to see, Inferno of Duststorm Eugene, or as most people call him, Eugene. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Ride, 13k base, continuous Vanguard. This unit is also regarded as heavy artillery of Duststorm Eugene. Pretty much everything from set 1 to 3 that specifically required him, if you're still running at, then you can run this with them because he'll still become those, unless your opponent, plays Blackmire against you and then nullifies your Vanguard's ability. Therefore, this ability won't count and he'll just be as Inferno. But also, fun fact, he can Persona Ride on top of and from, he can Persona Ride from and to OG Eugene. Basically, if OG Eugene was in your ride deck, you can Persona Ride this card on top of it and vice versa. But either way, though, we're only running this one. We don't run OG Eugene because it's just not worth it. And then Act Vanguard, once per turn, rest 2 rear guards. Okay, same cost as OG Eugene. Choose an opponent's column, kill all the opponent's rear guards in that column. And a little bit better than OG Eugene, because OG Eugene required you to rest 2 to kill 1, but in exchange, he gained 10k power. In exchange, this unit doesn't get 10k power, but he kills 2 at once, and basically procs Breast Harvest twice, and makes it a little bit easier for you to get Oswald's Restand out, so take that as you will. Following that, Auto Vanguard, once per turn when this unit attacks into a Vanguard, CB1 and Soul Blast 1, check top 5 to the 2 Great Throws unit cards from one of them, calls to rear guard circle in the same column as each other, so only 4 attacks, shuffle the deck, and this unit gets 5,000 power for the battle, or for the turn. So at least he's an 18k, and if he does restand from Oswald, he does get to keep that 5k, so that's not bad. And then as for his second skill, or the second half of that skill, if your opponent's Vanguard's at grade 3 rear guard and they have 3 or more open rear guard circles, again, this gets you 2. You just need to either dust in or figure out for 1 more, and you're pretty much going to get it automatically. You can then give all the called units plus 5,000 power. So all around, pretty solid for Eugene. He gives himself 5k, he gives the called units 5k, and he can bully down your opponent's board, all for only a CB and a Soul Blast. What I really like about this version of the deck is that it doesn't just soul charge the overtrigger randomly. I mean, it can draw the overtrigger randomly, but guess what? This deck I have seen the overtrigger offensively twice in since I've built this, which OG Eugene took so long to do. So yeah, honestly, I do like this version more. It's a little bit more consistent. It's a lot less flashy, to say the least, but it is more, I guess, consistent, and it does have that Ben Buoyant blast of, killing a rear guard or killing a column, and then getting decent numbers out of it while pulling out a board. All I want for Duststorm Eugene, very solid upgrade, and they did a really good job with this. They just need to give him better support, and honestly, it'll be good to go. So 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck of Inferno. And without further ado, that's it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. All around, this card's really good. This deck is really good. I don't know why I said this card's really good. This deck is really good. It does what it needs to do, kills rear guards. It may have a soul problem, but there are many different soul charges you can use. Some that are dust storms, some that are not dust storms. Bully down the opponent's rear guards and just get decent numbers all around. Well, really, all the deck needs is just, better support cards, because, again, we were literally just given 2 cards, which were carbon copies of literal other Eugene support cards, and that was it. But honestly, the deck is doing fine the way it is. Eugene, over time, has always been slowly supported. It's kind of like Magnolia, where Magnolia slowly became good after getting support every single set. We're just kind of waiting for Eugene to get that, because, honestly, Eugene has been that small child, which has been growing in the background. So we'll wait until he gets his time. He'll get there, I know for sure. So without further ado, I'm going to just want to hear. I hope all of you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us for Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.